personal and spiritual growth circles, it's a pretty common phenomenon for couples to split up while they're in the process of walking that personal and spiritual growth path. And the reason why this happens is simple, because both partners aren't working on themselves. As a result, one person is changing while the other person is not, and the partners grow apart. Now, I know this from my own personal experience. When I first met my husband, we were both on the same path, personal and spiritual growth path. For many years, we grew together, literally. We learned and changed and explored and got closer as a result. We went to personal growth seminars, and we joined a very long-term program that was all personal and spiritual growth. We went to retreats, all kinds of things. And so we were constantly growing and changing together, and we had things to discuss, and it brought us a lot closer. So yeah, literally, we were growing together. Then he stopped. He stopped wanting to do the personal and spiritual growth work. His beliefs changed. He just didn't want to work on himself really at all. And I still did. And as a result, over time, we grew apart. We were basically on two different trajectories, and that's what happens to people, is they're on different trajectories, and they're growing together for a while, and then when they stop growing together, they start growing like this. And at a certain point, when you get far enough apart, it's very difficult to get back together again. So, it's just too big a distance to bridge. So that was what was happening for us. And not only that, what happened was I began to resent his choices not to pursue growth. I resented that I felt like I had to hold myself back in order to make the relationship work. And that caused a huge rift that even counseling didn't really help, although we went to counseling for many, many years. But then in the process of so what happened was I had put my personal and spiritual growth on the back burner to try to get along. And that, as I said, just made things worse. And so when I decided that I wasn't willing to do that anymore, that I was going to go back to my own personal and spiritual growth and do my work, because I also knew that not doing my work was not helping the marriage any either, I began to have epiphanies about myself and about the relationship, and I began to share that with him. And in the process of sharing that, he began to see the impact that his lack of growth was having on the relationship. I was able to come and say, hey, this is my stuff. Like, this is what's happening, and I'm working on it. And when you do X, it doesn't make me react this way or whatever, but my reaction is this, or this is how I feel. Because, of course, you never want to tell you that anybody's making you do anything, because they can't make you feel a certain way or react a certain way. That's your choice. So the more that I shared my journey back to personal growth and to shared my epiphanies about the relationship in terms of me, only me, right? Again, I could say, when you do X, this is how I react. In any case, the more I shared, it kind of chipped away, and slowly but surely he began to do some work on himself. Not a ton, but some, and he began to be open to seeing how change would not only help him, but help the relationship. So over time, it was not overnight by any means, we got to a point where we were able to recommit to the marriage, to both agree to make certain changes and to continue to work on ourselves. When you work on yourself, you begin to also have some more understanding for your partner. And so things shift also, because you are doing things differently, behaving differently, giving your partners words or actions different meanings, or no meaning at all, right? And so things begin to shift. And so that's what happened for us. And we, we, we were able to get to the point to recommit to the marriage. And we probably now are closer and happier than we've been in probably 15 years. Most people would have walked away. I was ready to walk away until I really started doing some deeper work on myself. It's still a process we're in. Our relationship still requires that we both focus to some extent on growth and to coming together rather than to growing apart. So if you're finding that your relationship is suffering because of your growth efforts, like you're doing all the work, but it's impacting your marriage or your partnership negatively, here are some things for you to consider. One, ask your partner to grow with you. Even if it's just coming along, it's like my husband said, if you want to go to some lecture or whatever, I'll go with you. Even if it's not of interest to me, I'm going to go with you just to be with you. That used to be really annoying to me. I'd be like, no, I don't want you there. You're going to be judging it, whatever. That's just meaning I was giving it instead of just seeing that he was supporting me. So ask them to grow with you in some way, shape, or form. I've often offered classes that I was taking for my husband to audit, with me. Hasn't always happened, but just keep asking them to grow with you and telling them why it's important to you for them to grow with you. Explain what you're doing and how it's impacting the relationship in a positive way, like how your personal and spiritual growth is impacting the relationship in a positive way, or how it could impact the relationship in a positive way, and ask them to get on board with whatever will help to bring you both together as you grow. Also, invite your partner to try different things. So we get very stuck in our ways, we get very comfortable, and sometimes it just takes that nudge. Hey, would you want to try this with me? I really want to try this, but I'd love for you to do it with me. I'd like to have an accountability partner. I would like to see how this impacts our marriage or relationship, right? So invite them. Don't demand it, invite. Also be forthcoming about how the choices they're making are impacting the relationship, how they impact you. When you do X, I feel whatever. Again, they can't make you feel anything. They can't make you react. These are your choices. But you can say, when you do X or Y, this is what happens inside me. This is how I end up, it's a trigger for me. I'm working on that trigger, but it'd be really awesome if you could help to maybe change your behavior or the way you say something in just a little bit, so that I have an easier time not being triggered, because I don't want to be triggered because it impacts the marriage or the relationship. It might be that despite everything, you cannot grow together, especially if your partner refuses to grow personally or spiritually, or to work on himself or herself. And then you're going to have a choice to make. I know somebody who's been in a program with me for over a year, and she has recently decided to split from her husband, even though they love each other, because he's not okay with the changes that are going on with her, and that could happen. Okay, and so that's a tough choice to make, but personal and spiritual growth is so important. I mean, if it's important to you, then it's important, right? Then you don't want to give it up. Because it's how you achieve your potential and fulfill your purpose and live fully. So don't give it up, right? Unless you can find a way to be with the person who's not growing and grow yourself, and be okay with that, right? It could be that your partner, though, is going to see you changing in positive ways, and that's going to encourage them to want to change also. Even when they didn't think they wanted to. And believe me, I mean, my husband didn't want to change, and in the last year there's been a lot of change, and it's made a huge difference in our relationship. So realize, though, keep in mind always that your attitudes and reactions to your partner are creating the rift as well. It's not just about them. In fact, you give what they do and say a huge amount of meaning. And so it's up to you to then choose a different meaning, or stop making them wrong for their choices and judging them and criticizing them and making it all about them. Just make it about you. Make it about you. You change, you grow, invite them onto the journey with you, and see if the magic can happen and you can grow together as you both work on yourselves. So this is a big topic. I am not a relationship expert. I was on the verge of asking for a divorce, and here I am recommitting and happier in my marriage than I've been in many years. So it's always possible. I can't predict the future, but it's always possible that you can grow back together even when you've been growing apart. Expect some miracles. But be open to the fact that if both of you are not working on yourselves, the marriage could grow, you could grow apart and the partnership may not work anymore. But that's why. That's why so many people who get on the personal and spiritual growth path end up splitting up, because one is growing and the other is not. So, if at all possible, try to grow together. And don't get so far apart that you can't bridge that gap. I'm Nina Amir, the Inspiration to Creation Coach. I am an intuitive transformational catalyst. People know me as the Inspiration to Creation Coach because I love to get you to combine your passion and purpose so you get inspired and take inspired action to become a creator in your life, to not be impacted by anything other than your ability to create what you want, to be who you want to be, and create what you want in your life. So if that's of interest to you, click on the link above, the Inspired Creator Community. That's where I offer certified high performance coaching. I am a certified high performance coach. And Inspired Results Coaching, which is my unique brand of personal and spiritual coaching combined, actually more of my spiritual, esoteric, wisdom, tradition, woo-woo type of coaching. So you get spiritual and you get personal growth all in one place in the Inspired Creator Community. So click on the link above, check it out. I would love to have you be a member and to work with you and to help you create everything you want in your life, including the relationships of your dreams. So that's it for today. Until I talk to you next time, go out there and achieve more inspired results.